Welcome to Act Out. I'm Eleanor Goldfield, and this is your tipping point. This week, we're diving straight onto the front lines with a special full half-hour episode on the Democracy Spring and Democracy Awakening events from last week, right here in D.C. This week-long, 1,000-strong grassroots action featuring civil disobedience, workshopping, teach-ins, rallies, marches, and more was an organized, strong, diverse, and powerful call to the powers that be that we, the people, are rising. That we refuse to accept a government bought and sold, a corporatocracy, an oligarchy, and plutocracy. We will no longer idly sit by and watch as corporate interests gamble with our lives, our environment, our futures. Instead, we'll sit in and stand up. We'll teach in, we'll march, rally, and act. The coverage that you're about to see is some, but not all, of what we captured last week. There's just too much. So for more, please do visit our Facebook page for images and video. Twitter and YouTube are also good places to get updates and activist news. And now, without further ado, here is one hell of a dose of dissent, straight from the Devil's Den. So we are at the Democracy Spring kickoff with Medea Benjamin of Code Pink. Medea, tell us why you're here.
I'm here because I'm trying to stop war, and every time you try to stop war, you find out that it's the weapons manufacturers and the defense contractors that are making billions of dollars, and for them, they want to keep war going. So there's a vested interest, and it's ruining our world, and that's why I'm here.
I'm out here to show middle-class white America, hey, I'm one of you. I'm as respectful as you can get. I'm old, I'm white, I'm male, and I'm a former police captain. Maybe they'll listen to me just for a second or two where they would not listen to someone else.
And why do you feel there are so few law enforcement people here?
I wish I knew the answer why there's so few law enforcement. I mean, when I went down to Zuccotti Park in November of 2011, I knew that I would be breaking the ice by getting arrested. And that's the hardest part in protesting as a cop, is to break the ice. But I thought once I broke that ice, I would have a good 15 cops with me in the next couple of days at Zuccotti. Well, that was 4.5 years ago, and I've been to Ferguson, Indianapolis, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York, Indianapolis. I have not had one cop join me, or even one cop come up and tell me, hey, I support you. It baffles my mind.
Money ain't speech, corporations on people. 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 Democracy is for the people, voice will be heard. Democracy is for the people, voice will be heard. Democracy is for Democracy Spring, and we're here with Elise. She was leading some awesome chants earlier. So Elise, tell us, why are you part of Democracy Spring?
I believe that having a functional democracy where every voice can be heard is the most important step we can take right now to making progress on any and every other issue that's plaguing our country.
How did you get involved with Democracy Spring?
I'm one of our organizers. I was originally a co-founder of 99 Rise, along with Kai Newkirk, our campaign director, and a handful of other folks. And so 4 years ago, we were just dreaming up the possibility of doing something like this, and to be able to be here today, as 99 Rise is one of the founding members of this coalition movement we're calling Democracy Spring is absolutely a dream come true, and I can't be more excited to be here.
I am part with an organization called Citizen Well, and we're here to represent wellness and to remind all of us that it is important and crucial, and to democratize wellness, how important it is to get money out of politics, and how that just filters into every system, including our wellness system.
So why, as a wellness instructor and a yoga teacher, why is it important for you to be a part of this?
For me personally, if I were to just give you my personal story, is I am not a natural born citizen, and so to me it is it's crucial in the fact that my family came to this country as a, after the American dream, as they call it, leaving a corrupt political system back in the 80s. And so landing here and just seeing we were affected through the horrible healthcare system that we have. We were greatly affected as a family, and so to me it is important to just voice my concern for the importance of what democracy is supposed to represent and what it hasn't. So that's why I'm here.
Tell us about yesterday. What happened when you guys sat down?
It was beautiful. It was so powerful. We had this dream, that the people could come together from states across the union and take the people's house back and send a message that we're not going to accept the status quo of corruption and inequality in our democracy anymore. And I think that came through loud and clear. Capitol Police said over 400 people arrested. It took them hours to do it. They said it was unprecedented, the largest CD at the Capitol in history. I think it was over 500, between 400 and 600. But regardless, I think millions of people across the country saw what we did, heard about it, and are inspired. And we sent a message that there's going to be a political price to pay and growing resistance to the status quo until we win change. And that Congress needs to step up, do their job, and take action to save our democracy, or we're going to continue to disrupt business as usual until we win change. And so I thought it was an incredible start. It was a spark, and now we got to fan the flames of that fire and just build this movement and make a moment that can shift the political weather in our country, just like Occupy Wall Street did.
So we are here with Derek Cressman. It's day 2 of Democracy Spring, and Derek, you were arrested yesterday. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, there was a group of 400 or 500 of us who were sitting on the Capitol steps, sitting on the plaza in front of the Capitol. We were reading the preamble of the Constitution. We were singing America the Beautiful. And we were informed by the Capitol Police after 3 warnings that we could be arrested for that type of behavior. So after the 3rd warning, I was tapped by a police officer and asked to stand up. They put zip cuffs on me and walked me to a bus. It was a pretty comfortable bus, actually. And they drove us just about a mile away to a processing center that they had. And it turns out that the Capitol Police are very used to handling political protests, and they were very professional, very courteous about it. It took them a while, I think, because they were a bit overwhelmed by how many protesters there were. A lot of them said it was more than they have seen in their careers as police. But after about 4 or 5 hours, they were able to get us all processed. I was released and given a ticket with a $50 fine for obstructing a public passageway, basically, and I have to pay that fine, but otherwise, it feels like a small price to pay to be able to speak our mind and take back our democracy.
And why was it important for you to be arrested?
Well, to me, the point of these protests is to demonstrate, literally with our bodies, how our government limits the real speech of real people all the time. And yet we've got a double standard where we'll limit what you and I can say and how long and how loudly we can protest, but not limit the money that millionaires and billionaires spend to flood our airwaves with their speech. So that's what we need to fix, and I think these demonstrations are the perfect way of highlighting that irony. We all have busy lives, but if we don't take the time to be active citizens, not only to vote, not only to follow events in the newspaper, but to take responsibility for our country and governing it the way we see fit, then we're abdicating our rights and our responsibilities as citizens. So it's something that I felt personally was important to make time for.
Not too old to go to jail. Democracy is not for sale. Not too old to go to jail. Democracy is not for sale. Not too old to go to jail. Democracy is not for sale. Not too old to go to jail. Democracy is not for sale. Not too old to go to jail. Democracy is not for sale.
Outside the Capitol building. It's day 5 of Democracy Spring, and Chris Hedges is here. Chris, could you tell us real quick why you're here?
Because we've undergone a corporate coup d'etat in slow motion, and the only mechanism we have left to wrest back any democracy is through sustained acts of mass civil disobedience. It's certainly, I think, as most people are becoming aware, not by voting for the within the either of the two presidential primaries, which are completely rigged. On many, many levels, we're going to have to disrupt the machinery in a sustained and massive way if there's any hope. It's our job to begin to scare the shit out of the power structure, whoever it is.
Students, fit the bill. Hey, son, pay the drill. Students, want the bill. Hey, son, pay the drill. Students, want the bill. Hey, son, pay the drill.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy sounds like. This is what democracy sounds like.
So we are here at day 1, and April from Black Lives Matter DC just was on a panel, and there was something that you said that really hit me as an activist. You said that sometimes the time for talking is over and you just have to shut it down. Can you talk a little bit about how do you judge that? Because Black Lives Matter has been the most effective grassroots activist campaign that this country's seen in a really long time. How do you decide when it's time to just shut it down?
Right, well, I think it has to do with who is making the decisions that are negatively impacting marginalized communities the most, and then you have to judge by how likely is it that talking or working with or any of those kind of progressive steps are going to save lives. But if it's a fundamental belief of someone, you can say, here are our demands, and if that person ignores them or says, that's not something that they're going to follow, then you shut it down. Whatever it is, sometimes you just have to shut it down. I think we're at a point where you just say, wrong is wrong, and gray area doesn't exist, because gray area is where people get killed. So you just basically just say, you stop it. To shut something down is to permanently stop something. So you do that a million ways, putting your body on the line, putting your voice out there, whatever it is, you just stop it. If it can't go on anymore, if people can't afford for it to continue, you have to shut it down.
And the idea of community is really important in this too. How can people that feel that they want to do something, how can they start by reaching out to their communities?
You just gotta, to be honest, you go out online, you go to events like this and connect. Plug yourself in anywhere. I think the movement is at a critical point where we need everybody. You may not be the person who's in the streets, but from funding to doing childcare, doing community meetings, there's a place for everybody in the movement.
Well, in terms of the imprisoned industrial complex, money and politics issues affect it in a lot of ways. First and foremost, it coalesces public officials as well as lobbyists and special interest groups to advocate for policies or lobby for policies and then enact policies that have a disproportionate impact on our criminal justice system and our mass incarceration system. And so that corresponds to everything from sentencing disparities to policing in particular communities, especially communities of color. The other part is that a lot of these officials, as they're investing in the prison industrial complex and other issues of mass incarceration, they're less likely to invest in some of the reforms and policies that would help to keep people out of prison, i.e. issues related to education, issues related to economic justice, issues related to jobs.
And you mentioned that I believe the number was a 500% increase in the amount of incarceration, even though the amount of crime has gone down. And so obviously, since most of the people incarcerated are black men, first of all, why is this coming to a head now? And second of all, how is this perpetuated, this overt racism in this country?
Well, I think it's coming to a head now because of a number of events that we've seen happen in the last couple of years. Obviously, the movement for Black Lives, issues related to policing and police brutality have brought a lot of these issues to a head. I can say that in a number of communities of color, we've been advocating against these policies and against these issues for a really, really, really long time. And so, sometimes all that's required is a spark for these issues to really kind of take hold and catch fire and become a full-fledged and sustained movement. I think in terms of how and why these issues are perpetuated, I think a lot of that has to do with issues of representation. I talked earlier about how the majority of our elected officials aren't reflective of our voting population, which means that they're not very diverse. And because they're not very diverse, the type of representation for issues that people of color and people of lower income find near and dear to their hearts are really important for their well-being are not advocated for with the same type of fervency and vibrancy vis-a-vis other issues.
And so how do we get this money that pushes people into prison? How can we push that into revitalizing communities? And as April spoke about the issue in Southeast DC, where there are cops on every single corner, and those cops could be doing so many more good things than policing kids. How do we turn that tide?
Well, I believe in a bottom-up as well as a top-down approach. When I say bottom-up, I'm referring to the activity of people at the grassroots level, people in the communities, leaders, as well as everyday people, to stand up and say, this is unjust and we're not going to deal with this anymore, or we're going to seek very active change. From the top down, what I mean is that folks who are in position to speak to elected officials, to advocate on behalf, to develop policy that is reflective of what the people at the grassroots level and people in the communities want, they have to really make sure that they're adhering those messages and making sure that they're promoting policies that are inclusive and expansive to the people who have the most at stake in whether or not those policies are enacted and reformed, and the type of policies that are enacted and reformed.
So we are here with Annie Lundard at the Democracy Awakening rally. So Annie, I wanted to ask you, you're the founder of the Story of Stuff project. Explain the idea behind this, and explain the idea behind better versus more and how extreme consumerism is tied to the issue of money in politics.
Absolutely. Well, the idea with better and more is that for a while in a country's development, or for some people, better and more go together. If you don't have a roof over your head, if you don't have food on the table, if you don't have a pair of shoes, more actually is better. But there comes a point where this obsession with more actually starts to undermine our happiness. Because we have to work more hours to pay for all this more stuff, because we're orienting our entire economy towards more rather than better. A real economy that was really serving people on the planet would prioritize things like clean air, clean water, good education, clean energy, rather than just more consumerism. The number one obstacle we have to creating that kind of economy is the fact that our government has been hijacked by corporate interests who are so invested in more and more and more, always more money, always more stuff. That's why today I'm here with thousands of other people to stand up and say we're going to fix our democracy. We're going to get big money out. We're going to get real people in. We're going to have a democracy and an economy that works for people and the planet.
Do you think that because capitalism is built on the idea of constant extraction and always more and more, do you think that we can have a government of, for, by the people with capitalism?
You know, capitalism is a funny word because I find that in the United States, our economic literacy is so poor that if you say the word capitalism to 100 people, they have 100 different ideas about what capitalism means. And there are some aspects of capitalism, you know, the innovation and the creativity that have really served us well. There are some aspects of capitalism that may have served us well, but just aren't serving us well anymore. And the number one thing there is this absolute focus on infinite growth. We live on a finite planet. We cannot have an economy that's number one goal is extracting more resources as quickly as possible, running them through the system, and then dumping them out the other end. It just won't work.
Something that the Story of Stuff project also focuses on is work in small communities in your local area. So how can the work that we do in small communities with regards to sustainability translate into a larger scale shift that's necessary?
I am all for people taking local action. What I want to warn people against, though, is not getting caught in the trap of thinking that their individual choices matter that much. Of course we should ride our bikes instead of drive. Of course we should carry our own bags to the grocery store. Of course we should compost. But that's not how we make big, bold, systemic change. That's sort of how we be responsible, functioning adults. That kind of stuff falls in the category of adult hygiene. Like you floss your teeth, you wash your hands after you use the toilet, you carry your own bag to the grocery store. Excellent. Now, once you've done that, get involved as an engaged citizen to fix our democracy, to roll back corporate power, do the things that really make a difference. I really think the biggest challenge we face in this generation is wresting back our corporate money-marinated government so that it actually can serve people on the planet. If we can get our democracy to be accountable and functioning, we can solve everything. I mean, we know how to solve climate. We know how to solve equity. We have solutions. The only thing we don't have is the power to implement them, and that's why we're here today.
This is what democracy looks like. Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house. Whose vote? Our vote. Whose vote? Our vote. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Whose house? Our house. Whose vote? Our vote. Whose house? Our house. Whose vote? Our vote.
Who are these big donors? Well, let me tell you about them. According to the New York Times, they are overwhelmingly white, rich, older, and male. They do not reflect the diversity of this beautiful country. Should your voices be drowned out by hundreds of millions of dollars from these billionaires?
We are here at Democracy Awakening Day 2, and we're outside the Capitol for a rally, and we just ran into Jim Hightower. So in your book, you talk about the kleptocrat nation. Describe what, I mean, you touched upon it already, but describe what this means and how it reaches into every, because sometimes the money in politics issue feels abstract to people. So how does the kleptocrat nation and the money in politics issue touch on every other issue?
Well, the kleptocrats are in charge, kleptocracy being government by thieves. And these thieves, Woody Guthrie said it in his great song about outlaws, "As through this world I travel, I see lots of funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun and some with a fountain pen." And it's the fountain pens who are doing the serious stealing in our society. The bankers, the bosses, the big shots, the bastards, the bullshitters, who think that they're the top dogs and we're just a bunch of fire hydrants out here. So people are experiencing that, and that's what's different now. It used to be you had to explain about corporate power. What do we mean, corporate power? Well, now we know it's Walmart, it's ExxonMobil, fracking our neighborhoods and our communities. It's whatever corporation doing this and that. It's happening every day, and so people are now experiencing that and absorbing it as a political lesson. And again, Woody Guthrie said, "The rich folks took your money with politics. You can get it back with politics," and that's why we're having this awakening rally here today to rally this revolution to take our democracy seriously and to take it back from the plutocrats who have stolen it from us.
My friends in the human family, every right to vote we have came through the blood of the martyrs and sacrifice. The 15th Amendment that says the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude came through the blood. The Voting Rights Act, signed August 6, 1965, amended 5 times to expand protections, designed to enforce the voting rights guaranteed by the 14th and 15th Amendment, especially for racial minorities and especially in the South, came through the blood.
That's right.
The blood of the martyrs, the blood of slaves, the blood of abolitionists, the blood of white, the blood of black, the blood of freedom fighters, the blood of Native Americans, the blood of soldiers, the blood of Latinos, the blood of the gay, the blood of straight, the blood of Christians, the blood of Catholics, the blood of Jewish people, the blood of Muslims, so many unnamed. But we can never forget that every right to vote has been signed in blood. And we are here to say to America, wake up, can't you see that it is a desecration to the memory of the martyrs for the Voting Rights Act to be gutted by the Supreme Court? We've come to this hallowed mall to say to America, there's an awakening happening. It is not being launched this week, it's already been launched. We see it all over the country. We see it in the lawyers of the NAACP. We see it when labor wins. We see it in the fight for 15. We see it with Black Lives Matter. We see it in the Moral Monday. We see it when people of faith are standing up all over this country, that the alarm of conscience has gone off. There is an awakening. Wake up, everybody. It's our time. It's our Selma. It's our vote. Wake up, America. Wake up, America. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world won't get any better if we just let it be. We've got to change it. Wake up and vote. Wake up and fight. Wake up and stand. Wake up and believe. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up, America.
If we don't get up, shut it down. If we don't get up, shut it down. What do we want? Democracy. When do we want it? Now.
So now that you're freshly inspired by this past week's events, get out there and raise your fists and your voices to the cronies on high, to the corrupt ass buckets selling your futures for a timeshare in Hawaii. If you didn't know where to start, now you do. The sites mentioned in the show, plus some money out extras, will be coming up in a few seconds. And please, don't forget to let your friends know about the show. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. From the Devil's Den and the People's Streets, good night and act out. And real quick, to keep independent, non-corporatized media like this show going, donate at Occupy.com/donate. If you'd like to donate directly to Act Out, visit Patreon.com/actout.